Our results are used in two different ways. First of all, we are measuring the actual emissions, and from this we can actually see what kind of sulfur the ships are using in their fuel. So we can check if the ships are actually following the regulation that they should, and so we can check compliance rates in different places. So that's one thing. And the second thing is that we are producing emissions of gases and also of particles, and these can be compared to the ship emission models that predicts emissions. So we can make sure with our data that the ship emission models are actually working in a good way and produce reliable data. And then these ship emission models are then used for air quality work and for health assessments and etc.
We have this direct link with national authorities, for example, and they can ask us questions, for example, what would be the cost of these new sulfur rules for certain countries. So these kind of questions we can answer based on our work in EnviSuM.
What our work demonstrates is what effect these emissions have on health and on the environment around the Baltic Sea, and I think that this will make the public more aware about the
I suppose we are doing everything in original form, which means we take the experiments from the vessels, we take the measurements also in the land-based sources, and I think everything what we are going to provide for the EnviSuM is an added value. And finally, we did some modeling, which will be done first time in Poland. It is quite important to provide for the public information and the condition of the urban cities like Tricity, which we are doing currently. I think the most valuable part of our research that will be emission factors from the ships, which were achieved through the measurements on board the vessel, and also this modeling results which we've got from the Tricity that will be publicly available.
Well, I would say that one of the main things in EnviSuM is that we have a direct pathway to produce research results which are relevant to the stakeholders, especially on the policymaker side. So our mandate is to support policymaking, and that's exactly what we do in this project. Well, I would say that the tools that we apply in this project are something that it comes from the research side. And when you apply these policy objectives, then we get different answers. For example, that what is the performance of the agreed policies, or what can we do more? So if there is any significant improvement that we can suggest based on our research.
First of all, I think we are able to provide some important guidance for the ship owners, for the ship operators, as we are the service engineers, which means we have a more practical approach for such problems. And from the other hand, also I think we can give some introduction for the new methodology, how to make the emission inventory from the ships. It's quite important issue which is relatively new in Poland, in Europe around.
I think the project has gone relatively smoothly, mainly because we also had a previous project called EnviSuM where we did similar things. So I think it has been very few problems actually involved in this.
I'm happy because there is the next projects where I can cooperate with the others from the Europe, and we do value very high this cooperation, which means I am satisfied in other words.